Today we are dissecting a fascinating, heavy-hitting manifesto that crossed my desk. It is titled Fear-Based Comfort Religion, the Hidden Simulation That's Stealing Your Soul, a Sledgehammer for Addiction Recovery. The author does not hold back. We are talking about a full-scale assault on modern, comfortable church culture, describing it as a tranquilizing simulation that prevents real spiritual rebirth.
The language in this piece is spectacular. The author uses phrases like raw berserker reality, high fidelity command, and my personal favorite, the scorch beast synergy. It reads like a survival manual for a spiritual apocalypse. But beneath the intense vocabulary, the core argument is profound. The author claims that modern religious institutions have swapped the fear of God for the fear of change. Leaders are so terrified of losing their audience that they build walls of coffee chats, small groups, and feel-good events.
They call it a safety checkoff system. You show up, check the box, sing the songs, drop your offering, and you are deemed safe. The author argues this routine acts as a spiritual sedative. It allows people, especially those battling severe issues like addiction and trauma, to bypass the actual pain of surrender and transformation.
The historical context makes this critique even sharper. This obsession with comfort did not appear out of nowhere. It is the direct offspring of the seeker-sensitive church movement that gained massive traction in the late 20th century. Leaders like Bill Hybels and Rick Warren literally surveyed unchurched people in their neighborhoods to find out why they avoided church. The feedback dictated the architecture of the modern megachurch. The goal was to remove all friction and create a highly welcoming, non-intimidating environment.
Which led to the great coffee shop assimilation. By the late 90s, churches were hanging massive banners outside their doors advertising free Starbucks coffee just to get people in the building. The leadership traded theological weight for premium roast. The text we are reading today argues this is a heartlit currency exchange. You trade the violent surgical extraction of your old life for a comfortable seat in a theater.
The irony is that the comfort strategy is failing spectacularly on the macro level. Recent Gallup polling from the past few years shows a massive decline in church attendance across the United States. Only about 20 to 30% of Americans attend services weekly or nearly weekly. Meanwhile, a staggering 57% of Americans now report they seldom or never attend religious services.
The seeker-sensitive model built massive campuses designed to retain the masses, but the masses are leaving anyway. The author of our text would argue those people were just consumers of a religious product. When the product stopped being entertaining, they walked away. The text explicitly states that you can fill a building with people who are involved but never transform.
That brings us to the most vital part of this manifesto, the application to addiction recovery. The author calls this message a sledgehammer for anyone stuck in hidden chains. The premise is that routine without surrender is a death sentence for an addict. Clinical psychology actually backs up this fierce theological claim. When you look at the trans-theoretical model of change used in addiction counseling, sustained recovery requires a complete shift in core identity and beliefs, not just a modification of surface habits.
A comfortable routine is just putting a Christian filter over the old life. Addiction specialists note that habits are deeply woven into a person's identity. If an addict walks into a comfort-based religion, they might swap their Sunday morning hangover for a Sunday morning coffee chat, but the internal rot remains untouched. The author describes true surrender as standing blank and naked before the king, stripped of everything. Comfort religion lets you stay clothed and hidden.
The text uses a brilliant medical analogy. Routine is the sedative, surrender is the surgery. When church leadership broadcasts comfort and safety, they act as a lead shield against the refining fire necessary for true change. People with hardened hearts look into the mirror of the word, see the painful truth of their condition, but because the environment is so padded and pleasant, they simply turn away and forget what they saw.
The author pins the blame squarely on leadership, noting that biblical law holds them to a stricter audit. The claim is that leaders live in fear of the world's opinion, so they paralyze the body. They decorate the waiting room while the world burns outside.
It is a stunning indictment of pastors who prioritize polished pews over preparing their congregations for real spiritual warfare.
And the stakes are monumental. The manifesto warns that leading people to a hardened heart by promising them safety is the ultimate betrayal. When a real crisis hits, when the addiction calls or the trauma flares up, the fun-loving community model collapses. It was never built for war. People find themselves spiritually malnourished, fed on activities from 1999 while trying to survive the chaos of 2026.
The final verdict is chilling. Trading salvation for a comfortable routine tranquilizes the sheep before the wolves even arrive. The real fight requires a willingness to walk straight into the wasteland. Pass this episode along to someone who needs to hear it.